Hey gamers, today we're going to look at Colonia. Let's check it out. Alright, so this board is so big that I had to get the stand as high as it could go just to get barely into the board here. I mean, this is my hand here. So this is a very big board. It comes in puzzle pieces that just fit together, click together nicely. There is a lot of setup. You'll have your little start markers here to start off. Each player is going to get a handful of meeples. If you're playing this is the collector's edition. If you're playing with the base game, these are cubes. And each player will get their own little player shield as well. Nothing inside, but just a player shield. They'll get a deck of cards, all the same, number 3 through 8. And then they'll get 2 other cards to vote on things. This is a yay, and this is a I have diarrhea face, nay. You have lots of decks you need to shuffle. First off, this deck, this is all the decrees you'll be doing, the things you'll be voting on, and you'll deal 3 out every turn. And as you see, there are different numbers here that correspond with the numbers on the board, and you would vote on those things during that time. So for instance, this is 4. When we get to round 4, we'd vote on this first, yay or nay. Round 5, there are 2 things we have to vote on during round 5, some edicts there. And you'll always be voting on 3 edicts every round. You also will shuffle these cards. This kind of gives you the start of what the week's going to look like. For instance, up here, these numbers here correspond with the numbers here in the market, and you would draw these kind of barrel tokens from this bag here, as many as there are for each one of these. So for instance, that said 6, so I put 6 there, and then 5, 5, 4, just like this setup told me. Also during setup, you see that it has these little icons here. This is the market, and that's how many are allowed to set. That's how many the shops are selling of each item. So you would move it down that many spaces. So as you see, this one says 2 and 3. So that was a 2, that was a 3. That one says 0. So I had it all the way to the top. There are these gray bars that are dividing everything. That one was 1. And that one was a 2, so I set it like that. Also, it tells you you're going to shuffle these ship tiles here and deal out 4 of them, and only a few of them will sell each round. So for this instance, this is the first 2. So I put the little metal bar here. Now once these 2 sell off, these will slide down and more will come out of the stack. You do have your money here. You'll separate it by just denominations of 1 and 5s, and also by its country. It matches the color. And then you have this deck of cards. You'll shuffle it and then deal out 10 on the board here. You also have some in-game points for how much money of each country you have, and you'll put them right over there on the stained glass window. You have a black die here that I'll get to later. Actually, this card will tell you more information about that black die. And I forgot to mention, you also have the market up here, with the cost of each one of these little cylinder, almost like cylinder wooden tokens there, would go there. And then you stack, I only have 1 of each, but you stack each good at the top here. So I think it's like hats, wheels, paintbrushes, t-shirts, and shoes. It doesn't matter, just different colors. And they're all different shapes too. And of course, you see they're matching the icons here on the boats. Now, anyway, how the game goes is that each player is going to start by secretly picking one of these cards and then putting it face down. And then everyone at the same time, let's say blue and green were playing with me, and we flip it over. Now that's how many men we have to put right here in the town hall. So for instance, I would take out 6 men behind my player shield, place them there. Green would place out 5 men and place it here. And then blue would place out 3 men and place it there. Now that is also the player order. So it'd be orange, then green, then blue. So we stack this. Orange is going first, green is going second, blue is going last. You also discard these cards from the game. The game goes 6 rounds, 1 round for each numbered card in your hand. And then after that, you're going to exit these people, just push these people on the street. They will not be available until you get back to this round next week. Each one of these are 1 day of the week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So Monday is basically just set up here and doing new edicts. Monday is deciding who's going to be top dog and who's going to get the most influence, because these also count for votes for these edicts. I'll get to that in a minute. So then everyone moves to the street. Then, in this order, and by the way, if there's a tie going forward, then the order would remain the same. Let's say these two tied with 7, and orange had 6. Well, then these would just rise to the top, and orange would be last. And since they tied, green would stay up in front of blue. If you ever play a card, I should mention this, if you ever play a card that you don't have enough men to cover it, because you can't grab these men in the street, you have to put them from behind your player shield. If you play a card and you can't cover it, you go to 0. You put everyone that you can put in there, you go to 0, you go last place, and you do not get to vote in any of the edicts. So it is kind of dangerous. This is a lot of meeple management here is what the game is, really. But anyway, so in player order, when you get to day 3, you will go ahead and put as many these meeples, or cubes if you have the base game, as there are cylinders or goods. So for instance, if I won this one has 5 goods, I'd have to pay 5 little meeple men. So I'd pay the 5 meeple men, and I'd put these behind my player shield. And then each other player would go putting down exactly the amount of meeples they'd want for these types of, for the things that they want, and anytime a player wants to pass, they can. So let's say that orange did this and blue's like, I'm out, dude, I'm out. Okay, so now it's green's turn, and green goes here. And then orange goes, I'm out. Well, green could actually keep going if he wanted to get these, or he could pass too. Now eventually, everyone's going to pass, or the market's going to be completely bought out. Afterwards, you'd clear the market of any leftover ones, unclaimed ones, and you put them back into this bag. And then, of course, all of these people would go back out into the street, and they won't be available for the next round. After that, it then moves over here to the market where you're developing your goods and turning them into items, that you can sell to the boats. So, for instance, you have to have the particular items, the resources to build, or have the makers make those type of items. So for instance, right here for the hat, I need a black cylinder and a dark brown. Here I need for the wheel, I need a dark black and a beige. I need a beige and a blue for a paintbrush, or a blue and a white for a shirt, or a white and a dark brown for a shoe, and so on and so forth. But how this works is, in player order, starting with the first one, then going around, the first player can pick any one, and all he has to do is put 1 right there. And so let's say if green went next, and they also wanted to get a hat, well, they have to pay 2 people instead of just 1. And if blue wanted to get on into the action, they'd have to pay 3 people. Now look, they're behind that bar. Can they even do that? Yes, they can. I'll tell you why in a minute. So all the players are placing out, different men along this way. And then after that, you're going to roll this dice as many times as indicated on this card. So this one says 3. And every time you roll the die, you're going to lift one of those bars up 1. So for instance, this was 3, so it even has the dice numbers here, 1, 2, 3. So he wasn't selling anything, but now he's selling 1 item. So if, let's say orange player would have been right here hoping he would open, yes, he did open. And then you roll it again, and 4 would move up, and then here, if you ever roll a 6, then all of them move up. So hey, blue gets lucky, he's going to get in on it. This one. If anyone else was in these, they get lucky too. So anyway, once that's done, everyone will pay their resources and get those particular items. Now, what happens, let's say that blue didn't get in. What would happen? Well, the next round, all of these people would go out into the street, and then these would all reset to 0 again, and blue would shift up, and they'd be the next one in line for the next day to get whatever item they're waiting for. Now, one thing I forgot to do is there was an edict we should have resolved first. So you would resolve this first because it is an edict, and this one says, hey, the Wainwright fulfills 2 additional contracts. Ooh, so let's say he ended here. You could vote on this, and if you vote for it, then he would actually fulfill 2 additional contracts automatically. And how people vote is with their voting cards. So everyone throws it face down, then everyone reveals. And it's not just majority rules, it's the votes right here. So for instance, if orange wanted it, and green and blue did not, well, 8 to 6, they win. Later on, maybe blue sides with orange, 9-5, they win. So it's not really who has the majority of votes as per player, it's votes per meeples that you have in the townhouse. I really like that. I think that's really cool. Anyway, after here we'd go to 5, and then we would vote on each one of these edicts, okay? And after those were resolved, we do the whatever it says there, and then we'd move into the boat realm. And in the boat realm, you're basically taking some of the resources that you collected and placing them on these ships. So for instance, this one right here, if I had a hat and a shoe, I could discard those items, put them back into the stockpile there, and put one of my little meeples right here, showing that I'm going to get $5 of that currency from Bruges. And there's all different denominations for each different country where the ship's going to, but that's the money that you're getting, whatever that ship says. Of course, if you had 2 wheels, you could discard those and put another man down for 5. Only one person can claim each one of these holds. These are 3 items, they're worth 9. Sometimes they have items, well, there's one, that's 4 items that you need. If you can fulfill that contract, you go there and you're going to get $15 from London. All right. Now you can even sell to ships that aren't sailing right now, but they won't be, and they'll be selling in the next round. So if you wanted to, you could. But each player is going to be going round robin, taking turns, fulfilling contracts until they can't anymore. And from that case, they have to all pass. Once that's done, you're done with day 5. You move to day 6. Day 6, you're going to pay out the cash. So only the ships that left. So these 2 ships left. And blue looks like they got $10 in Bruges money, so I give them 2 of these $5 bills. And this is like magazine paper. It's not really that bad. But anyway, this one, the yellow one, I can't read it upside down here, but orange got $2 from them, and green got 9. Now, orange won't get the money from London for this because this ship didn't sail. But once these ships sails, all these people go into the streets. They'll be available for the next round, and those are discarded. And these slide down, and then 2 more are brought out. Now, if it was the last round, all 4 ships would go regardless of what this card says. But until that 6th round, you only send as many ships. It could be 1, 2, or 3 ships as the card says. So anyway, he's ready to go next round. No one can claim that. These people stay in the street. After we paid out everyone from 6, then we go to 7. Using the money that they have, they can purchase these cards. So if someone got, $5 worth of yellow money, they could buy this relic for 1 victory point. Or if someone had 15 of the green money, oh, they could get that for a big 5 victory pointer. Now, and of course you have to spend that particular money. So if someone had $12 for money from Bruges, they could get this 3-point relic. This is kind of a low scoring game, but these are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is kind of how they go. Now, one of the neat things is every once in a while you'll see one of these cards. This doubles the value of any card of the same type. So for instance, if someone would have picked up the 5 and then got this double, boom, that's 10 victory points. That's huge at the end of the game if you can get that. But anyway, once everyone has claimed a card, let's say people just claimed some low-hanging fruit here. They didn't have many cards there. After everyone is passed, then you have the option of laying down a meeple down there to reserve cards. Now, you're not reserving it for you. You're just saving it from being discarded, because every round these cards are discarded unless they have a meeple on it. So, for instance, I wanted, let's say, orange wanted to save these 2. So these 3 would go in the discard pile. These meeples would go out into the street. These cards would stay into play for the next round, and then you deal out more cards for the next week. All right, and that's kind of how it works there. Now, after that, you'd go into the next round and things would just repeat again. You'd wipe the deck of the edicts, bring out 3 more. Sometimes you want to put them in player order, so I have a 4, 5, and 6 here. So we're voting on 4, 5, and 6. There are some in the deck, there are 3s too. And then we turn over the next card, and then of course we'd set the market to that amount. We see how much we have to roll that dice once everyone's placed their characters. We see how many of those cylinder cubes we need to put out in each market space. And then we see how many boats also will be going out. So we put the divider right here, because only 2 boats, these 2 boats are shipping out. And then everyone will play another card from their deck to see who is going first. So in this round, it's a 5, so orange is going first again. Green and blue are tied, so green and blue stay the same there. Orange puts in 5 people. Green and blue both put in 4 people. And once they've done that, then what they can do is take back all of the meeples on this street here. So green would take some people back, orange would take some people back, and then blue would take their people back. And after that, all these would slide out for the next round. And of course, then you do the market. After you did the market, then you take all these meeples here and slide all the other meeples down, and so on and so forth. So this is really like meeple management or cube management when you start playing the game. Now after the 6th round, all 5 ships leave, and then you count how many victory points you got. Victory points are counted by relic cards, and whoever has the most money left over of each country will get 2 extra points. So if you had the most in Bergen or Nongle, I don't know these names, Bruges, I know Bruges and London. If you have the most highest denomination value, money left over, you'll get at least 2 extra victory points. And of course, whoever has the most victory points wins. Final thoughts, what do I think about the game? Whoa, this is nice. Now, of course I got it because of that little blue Q right there. I love this symbol. Queen Games has some good stuff going on. Do you need the collector's edition? No, but it's nice to have meeples. But if you want to get cubes, the game is really cheap with cubes, and really, cubes would work fine. I even told my gaming group, I said, cubes works fine. But then we all agreed, meeples look better. So I don't know, this one's just a little bit more expensive. You may can find it used for a good deal, but getting the base game is just as good. Man, I'm really impressed with this game. I absolutely love this game. I love how it's basically meeple management, like how many can you spend in what places, and you think you have it figured out. You think you have plenty of meeples. You do not. You do not. You don't have enough meeples to do all those moves. You make big moves at the beginning. In fact, sometimes we came dangerously close to not supplying enough meeples at the very beginning, and that's terrible. It's a 0 for voting. You lose all the rest of your meeples that you have, and you don't get to vote. Those edicts can be good or bad. You can use them to help you or help everyone, or say no and screw the other players. And a lot of times you want to do that, so you do want to have your vote there. There are sometimes if someone played 8 and the other 2 played 3 in a 3-player game, then you have the majority, and that's really cool. I like how it's not just for the first player, to go first. Because going first is important, but also having the most votes when edicts come out is really awesome too. The paper money doesn't bother me. It's magazine money. It actually is pretty nice, and I love the uniqueness. It's a low-scoring game. Sometimes you do forget to do the edicts because you just forget about them, like I did. What we do is we just kind of shove those cards in those areas so it'll be right there on the board and we won't forget to vote on it. But other than that, it is a fun game. It's a slow start. First, you're like, man, 3 ships went off and I couldn't, do anything for them. But eventually, you're going to start making some big money as it goes around. Now, there's only enough edicts to fill out the whole game. I kind of wish there was more for more variety, but that's just like a small complaint. Other than that, this is just a gem of a game. I really like it. Just like a Queen game, easy to understand and fun to play. Well worth it, folks. All right, gamers, that's all the time I have for now. Until next time, game on!